What's going on, everybody? It's Barmine from Barmine Tech, and today we're going to be setting up a Minecraft server. So we're going to be doing this on a Linux-based machine. We're going to be using Ubuntu. We're going to go through all the steps to install it manually. We're not going to use like an automated script or any of the control panels or anything like that. We're just going to set up a plain vanilla Minecraft server, and we're going to go through all the steps to do so. When everybody asks, I don't know where to start in a home lab or what projects to do or how to learn some new skills in like Linux or networking or even hosting stuff. A Minecraft server is what me and my friends always say is a really good place to start. It gives you just enough of a little bit of everything to kind of get some skills in Linux, and then you get to learn a little bit of networking. If you're hosting it on like a hypervisor, you can learn a little bit about your hypervisor. So hosting your own Minecraft server is a really good place to start. And realistically, doing it manually without one of the control panels or an automated script is really simple too. So we're going to go through it today and do that right now. Like I mentioned, we're going to be doing it on an Ubuntu machine. So I am over here on the Barmine Tech server. I have this VM that I set up over here. It's just a simple Ubuntu machine. It doesn't have anything too crazy. Of course, depending on how many people you plan to have on your server and what you plan to do on it, you need to give it the appropriate resources for that. This is just a quick demo server that I'm going to build out, but if it was a server that I was going to play on with my friends, I'm going to give it probably at least 8 gigs of RAM and at least 100 gigs of hard drive space. Minecraft is more focused on memory than on CPU cores, so you don't really need to give it 8 cores of CPU. It's going to be more on the RAM side that you need to give it resources towards. I haven't hosted anything with really mods or anything like that, but I do understand if you do need to give it more storage and more resources as well. So if you're going to be hosting like a modded server, you probably want to give it at least 100, 150 or more gigabytes of hard drive space. And of course, factor in your memory usage with RAM as well. Another thing I did was do this quick write-up of going through all the steps of setting up the Minecraft server. So this is what we're going to be following today. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to turn this machine on, I'm going to grab the IP, we're going to putty into it to make it a little bit easier to pipe the commands into it, and we're going to get this Minecraft server all set up. And since some people might be new to this, I am using Proxmox. You can use anything if you have like an old PC, or you maybe bought one on Marketplace or eBay or whatever it is. Minecraft is really good. It can run on a wide range of systems. I actually originally intended to run this off of my Zima Blade, but I had some video output issues, so I scrapped that, and that's why I moved over to Proxmox. I like it run a little bit more in Proxmox for the backups and everything else, but like I was saying, you can run a Minecraft server on anything. It can run on an old PC, you can run on a new PC, you can really have a wide range of what you can run it on. It's a very versatile software that you can run on a range of systems. So the only thing I did do is I came over here to the console, or if you're on a physical machine, you could do so as the same way, and I just grabbed my IP address. I have putty. I opened up putty, and then I just sign in over here, and that's how I would log in. So if you are new, maybe it's not something you've done before, this is how you could easily log in to any of your Linux machines. I made the font just a little bit bigger, and one of the first things we're going to do is a sudo apt update, and this is just to pull the latest repository, so when we do our upgrades, we have everything that's needed, and this is going to help us when we start to install some newer packages. So after this is all done updating, it will tell us we have how many packages. You can see over here we have 136. So I'm going to do a sudo apt upgrade tac y, and tac y just adds the flag, so we don't need to say yes, it just automatically does it. I'm going to let this run, and we'll be back when this is all set. And you might be new to Linux, so after you run the apt upgrade, this would be a window you'll probably get. So I'm just going to click enter. We're going to hit tab to just come over to OK, hit enter again, and it's going to tell us we're all good. Now, what I am going to do is I'm just going to reboot really quickly just to make sure the kernel is all applied. So I'm going to get this, and it should reboot pretty quickly, and then I'll just restart my connection, and we'll log back in. So you could actually see back here, I still have Proxmox open, so I could actually see. And if you don't know, you can come over to putty. You could right-click on this top taskbar, and you could just hit restart, and then you could log back in. And you don't have to start that new session all over again. So at this point, we're pretty much all set to start actually installing our Minecraft server. So I'm going to come over here to the write-up. Now, we already did this first step up here. The next thing we need to do is install the JDK, or the Java portion of the server. I'm going to just come over here. I'm going to split up my screen so it's a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to clear it, and then we're going to start working over here. So you can just start copying commands if you want. And now this is just going to install the JDK like I was saying, so it's going to pull the latest version to try to mitigate any kind of errors we might have. So I'm just going to click yes. This might take a minute, so once this is done, we'll pick this back up. That's all I've done. I'm going to hit clear, and then we're going to do Java attack version. And now we can see over here, we're running JDK 11. So it's a little bit later than I would have expected it to be, but it should work. If we run into any issues, we could always update it again. So now we're going to start moving on with our next steps. To kind of break the server up into some pieces and add some additional security, we're going to actually add another user to run the Minecraft services itself. So over here is what this command is going to do. It's just going to add user. It's going to be Minecraft. I'm going to do sudo add user Minecraft. And now we can set a password. So I'm just going to make it something easy to remember. And I'm just going to enter the default for these. I don't really need to enter out all the information. So now the user is all set. The next thing we're going to do is over here add some additional permissions for the user so it can kind of have a little bit more rights on the machine so you don't have to keep switching back and forth. And now this should be all good. The next thing we're going to do is su tac Minecraft. So su is just switch user, so you could just do su Minecraft and then put in the password for the Minecraft user. It actually gives you the steps to run as administrator, so you just use sudo. So we're just going to clear out once more. Now we're over here to actually start making the directories for Minecraft. So we're going to come over and I'm just going to cd home. So I'm back on my slash directory just so I have nothing else going on. We're going to do make dir space tilde slash Minecraft. And now this is where we're going to put all the files to actually run the server. So now we're going to, I'm just going to go up and I'm going to cd into it. So now I'm in there. And if I do a pwd, we're in that Minecraft directory. Our next steps over here is to actually install Paper. So we're going to use Paper as our backend to run the Minecraft server. It's a really lightweight system and it's very commonly used. So over here is this wget command, and this is to download the latest version of Paper. Or you can come over here, you can open this tab, you can click into Paper. And over here is the latest build. So this is probably going to be a little bit easier. I'm just going to copy the link. I'm going to do wget, paste that in, and all wget does is just download the file from the site. You can copy this command. The only thing is you need to update this portion with the X's so it has the latest build. So that's why sometimes it's a little easier just to copy that link and wget it that way. You can see over here the download's all done. If I hit ls, we have paper.jar. And our next command over here is just going to rename the file so it's a little easier to work with, so we don't have to keep typing out paper. You could just do server.jar. So I'm just going to copy this, paste that in there. And if I ls it again, now we just have server.jar. We already did our java.version, so we should be good. One more thing I do want to do is just do some updates again, just to ensure everything is all up to date. So everything is up to date. I'm going to install JDK 21. I know we did the latest up there, but I do want to do 21 just to kind of rule out any errors we might have going forward. So I'm just going to type yes again. I'm going to let this finish installing, and then once it's done, we'll pick this back up. So now that's all set. I'm going to hit clear, so we're back at the top. And now our next command over here is just going to ensure that JDK 21 is our primary Java version. So I'm just going to throw that in there, and you can see it is. When I did that original download, you can see it downloaded 11, which isn't going to help us. Typically, it has you download 17, and 17 is still out of date for our current build. So we're all good over here. I'm just going to control C it, hit clear. I'm going to check my version one more time. You can see we're all good. We're on 21. So now we should be all good to start the server. I have my jar file, so I could do java tac jar server.jar. Now it's going to download the actual files that are needed from Mojang and Minecraft. It's going to set them all up and attempt to actually start the server. One error that we are going to get is expected to crash is that we need to assign the EULA. So after it finishes setting everything up, it's going to give you this failed to load EULA.txt, and that's because we need to agree to their uses. So if we ls one more time, now we can see we have additional files that were written. And we just need to come into this EULA.txt and change one thing. So you could just use nano, and we just need to change this false to true. Hit Control X, Y, enter, and if we cat it, you can just confirm over here. It says true. Now, my next steps over here are to make a script to start it. But what we can do to just make sure that everything is all good is we can do the Java tech jar, server.jar one more time. And you can see it's going to attempt to initialize one more time and make sure everything's working. And it looks like it's working pretty well over here. You can see it's actually making the world. And now we're at the point where it's just going to have a console. So we are set. Our Minecraft server is all running. So I'm just going to Control C to cancel this. And it's going to actually close out the server. You can see it's still kind of building some stuff. There we go. So it just stopped. So if I hit clear again, it'll bring me back up to the top. And now what we are going to do is set up a script to make this a little bit easier to start it. So we're going to do nano start mc.sh. It's super simple. We're just going to copy these lines over here. Now your jar file does need to match up to server.jar. If it doesn't, you have something different, that's fine. Just make sure you update this line right here to match up. Now, one other thing that we need to just take into account. So over here where it has the TAC XM2G and TAC XMX2G, this is going to be the minimum amount of memory your server is using, and this will be the maximum you're going to allocate. If you have a machine with 4 gigs of memory, make sure you don't give the maximum higher than the machine actually has. Just make sure you give whatever memory you want. So this is all set. I'm going to hit Control X, Y, Enter. If I ls it, you can see here's my script. So now we're just going to chmod it plus X to give it executable. And then I could just type in this my start tac mc.sh script. And now if I do an ls tac l, so by doing the ls tac l, we can see all the files in that directory. And if we come across to our script, we can see that it has executable rights. So now we can actually run that script. So if I just hit it clear, we could do a /start, and you can see over here it's going to start our Minecraft server a little bit easier instead of having to do that Java tech jar server.jar every time. So I'm just going to Control C this so it is working, so we can see that's all good. The next thing we want to do is we're going to make a system service. So if your server reboots, it powers off, it turns back on, your Minecraft server will always turn back on. You'll need to go in there and manually do it every time. So I actually pretty much set it up pretty easily over here. So you could just copy this whole line, paste that in there. It's going to open up a new file. Whatever you named your script just needs to be updated over here. So actually for mine, it's a little bit different. So I need to change mine. I'm pretty sure I did start tac mc, but I'll double check. So we can just Control X, save that. Yeah, I did start tac mc. So we're all good over here. If we come over to the bottom of the write-up over here, you can see I just have a couple commands to ensure that those systems start up. So we could just copy these, paste them in there. Now we're just going to enable the service to actually run. So you can see it created it. It's going to start the service. And one last thing we could do is check the status of the service. And you can see over here it says active running. It's all good. So we can hit Q, and now it's still running in the background, and we don't need to worry about it. So if I go up one more time, I can see it's still running. What I will do is just grab this IP really quick. So mine is 225. I'm going to open up Minecraft, and we're going to actually try to load into our server. So I joined into the server, but unfortunately my screen capture isn't like grabbing the actual Minecraft window properly. But over here I can cat the user cache, and you can see that I joined up and I was actually in the server. So it is working, everything's all good, and we're pretty much all set to go now. Like everything's going, so now you have a working Minecraft server. A couple things you might want to keep in mind: if you do plan on sharing the server with your friends, you can either open it up to the public and you can port forward. So you would have to go into your router, firewall, gateway, whatever you use, and you would have to open up the Minecraft port, which is 255.65 to the IP internally. And then you can give your friends your IP address and they can connect through there. If you want to set it to a domain, you could do that as well. You could also leave it closed and use other options like Tailscale or Netbird or one of the other VPN options, and your friends can securely connect to the inside of your network with a VPN, so you don't have to actually open it up to the public. Or you could use something like playit.gg. I'm pretty sure that's the site. I'm going to actually double check that real quick. Yeah, I just double checked. This is the site. So what this does is like uses an API that you can install on the server itself, and it proxies it through their servers, and your friends can connect through here. So like they'll give you a random domain, and it kind of just proxies it through. So it's another way to get around buying a domain and having to open up the ports and open up your server publicly. I do mention this in one of my previous videos for setting up Minecraft, and I'll link those down below. But that's how we would set up a Minecraft server. Like I said, this was a really simple vanilla setup with no mods or anything like that. and we weren't using any of those control panels or game panels or anything like that. The game panels are really helpful, and I have used Crafty in the past, and I still do. So if you are interested in using a game panel instead, I'll link the video down below to set up with Crafty. There's also other options, and then of course you can run it in Docker as well. So there's a bunch of different options, but this was one of the simplest ways, and this is a really good way if you're a beginner to kind of work on some of those skills. Like I was saying, like you get to work on some Linux skills, some networking skills, some virtualization skills, or even if you're running on physical hardware, kind of working with the hardware and doing it all from there. So this is a really good beginner project. Like I said, when me and my friends talk to people and they're like, well, I really want to get into homelab or self-hosting, I don't know where to start. This is where we kind of push everybody. It's a really good way to kind of figure stuff out, like I've been saying. Again, that's how we set up a vanilla Minecraft server on Linux and have it all running with systems and all that stuff. I'll have links to all the gear in my homelab down below if you ever want to check any of it out. I'll have a link to the Discord server if you want to join up in there. I want to thank everybody and wish everybody a happy new year. This is our first video of the new year. I hope it's a really good one for all of us. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and as my buddy Don would say, hack till it hurts.